Welcome, everybody, to the 190th episode of the Jewish Drinking Show. I'm your host, Rabbi Drew Kaplan, and I'm joined by first-time guest, Dr. Leor Jacobi. Welcome, Dr. Jacobi.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So for those less familiar with Dr. Jacobi here, he is a scholar of medieval Jewish art and visual culture, affiliated with the Department of Jewish Art in the Faculty of Jewish Studies at Babylonian University, serving as a senior lecturer. He pursued early studies in cognitive science at the University of California, Berkeley, Bears, before dedicating years to advanced Talmudic learning in Jerusalem and later returning to academia. He completed his MA and his PhD at Babylonian University, where his doctoral research explored the intersection of art and rabbinic literature and medieval culture. He has held prestigious fellowships, including a Humboldt Foundation postdoctoral fellowship at Johannes Gutenberg University of Mainz, and has served in various academic roles, including lecturer and research fellow, while contributing to major scholarly projects and journals in Jewish studies and art history. And that's also why he has art in the background. He loves his art. It's not just text. So we are talking about today, we're talking about the fifth cup, at least in the Talmud. And I think a lot of people are entirely unfamiliar with this notion that this even exists. And I think we'll get later, this is a good tease for later in the episode, as to why it is that people are unaware largely of the existence of this fifth cup at the Passover Seder, right?
Yeah, it's like a mystery. And people think, people have a hard time finishing the four cups. And I don't know about you, first time in my life I ever got drunk, it was at a Passover Seder where they kind of left the kids' table unattended with the bottle of Manischewitz. And so like after we have four cups, like who needs another one? Like where did this come from? It's like, isn't it genug?
That's great. So I'm going to pop onto the screen. We've got really the central Talmudic text that deals with this is found in Pesachim 118a. If anybody would like to go, well, before you go do your homework, I'm going to share it here, which is to know Rabbanan, our rabbis taught, our sages taught, Chamishi Omer Alav, on the fifth cup, one says Hallel Hagadol Divrei Rabbi Tarfon. These are the words of Rabbi Tarfon, who lived in the late 2nd century. V'yesh omrim, and there are those who say, clearly not agreeing with Rabbi Tarfon, Adonai lo echsar, that the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. This is Psalm 23, and that is clear what that is. We know it's that psalm. What's unclear is what this Hallel Hagadol, and I think that deserves. Certainly for drinkers, like if we're having a fifth cup, what is it that we are saying this fifth cup of wine on, right? And probably in the evening, as you were remarking earlier, Dr. Jacobi, that like you could be multiple cups in. Who says it's just four? You could, and then you're really polishing yourself off. And so we're going with a psalm, and it's really unclear what this might entail, but we have more Talmud. We have different rabbinic opinions about what this might even be, this great Hallel. The Talmud asks, Mehechan Hallel Hagadol. So what is this what does it encompass? So we get two, I would say, early to mid 3rd century rabbis. We get Rav Yehuda, who says it's from give thanks in Psalm 136 until the rivers of Babylon. So basically the entirety of Psalm 136, which I think people might be familiar with.
It's in Psuki de Zimra for Shabbat.
Yeah,
and it's also in almost every. I think it's in every Haggadah Shel Pesach at the end.
So it's I think people are familiar with it being anyways in the Haggadah then.
Yeah,
sure. Which probably comes from here.
It came from the fifth cup, and that's something a lot of people don't know.
Yeah,
it's like we don't drink the fifth cup in general, except for a few people. But this Hallel, it made it in, and that's
from this line, this made it in, but not the fifth cup into our Haggadah.
Not the fifth cup, right? Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have roughly his contemporary, maybe a little bit earlier, with Rabbi Yochanan, who says it's from Shir HaMalos until Naharos Bavel. So this is so it's not just Psalm 136, but it's actually 134, which actually is a really short one, 135, and then we have, once again, 136 as well. And then we have a later Amora, who is, I think, is the 4th generation, so he's like early 4th century. He's a contemporary of Rava. He says, for the Lord has chosen Jacob for himself, it's 135:4 until, so it's midway through 135, but then also 136. They really all agree that it is Psalm 136. It's just maybe including more or not.
Yeah, everyone agrees that 136 is in. Then there's this opinion Rav Aka Bar Yaakov to add from 135,
Mhm.
and the pasuk that he brings is a few lines into the psalm,
Yeah.
but he might intend to start at the beginning of the psalm, actually, because
Oh.
the beginning of the psalm is kind of generic, so it's hard to, they didn't have the chapter numbers in the
Yeah.
Gemara, so it could be that he signified this because this is where it becomes less generic. The earlier psukim of this chapter of Tehillim actually have the word hallelu. So
Yeah.
it kind of when we're talking about this Hallel HaGadol,
Yeah.
the chapter 136 has Hodu, Hodu, Hodu. It doesn't actually have the word Hallel in it. So so it could be that that's part of the reasoning to include the earlier one.
Yeah.
But it also it's a similar. Most of it is similar. Has a similar theme with 136
Mhm.
also.
Yeah. So it's giving praise. So
then the 134, the short one,
yeah.
it mentions night. So that fits for Leil HaSeder. Fits for Leil HaSeder. There's another context where we read Hallel Gadol, which is mentioned in the Talmud, where it's not connected with night. When you have a fast day and then it starts rain, you have a fast because there's no rain, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the fast day it starts raining. It's like, wow, our prayers have been answered.
Mm-hmm.
God loves us. So we have a special Hallel of praise and thanks to God just for such a wondrous occasion, and that is Hallel Gadol.
Yes, so, and I will also point out to listeners, there is drinking. This is a drinking text in the Mishnah. Rabbi Tarfon says, "Tzuv ichlu shtu v'asu yom tov." Go eat and drink. This is a drinking text, and then that's what they did. They ate and they drank. So it clearly is a drinking text.
Yeah.
Because drinking text.
Because we're breaking the fast. The fast, no more. You'd think once you started it, you got to finish it, but no. If the prayers are answered, it starts raining, then that's it. We celebrate.
Yeah. So it was. So I mean, obviously, I'm thinking about the drinking piece because this is the drinking show. But at the same time, this is the Hallel HaGadol here that they are kara'u is they are happy and they're certainly giving thanks and very appreciative. And maybe that's something that gives us insight. It's also Rabbi Tarfon, even though he doesn't say it, but that's what they do based off of what he says. And maybe what's going on here is there's a sense of the giving, the Hodu Ladonai Kitov piece of it, of giving thanks, acknowledging God's goodness. And maybe that's what we're supposed to understand about what the intentionality of the fifth cup is, from at least Rabbi Tarfon's position. Clearly, the opposing view is not that. It's a very different psalm. I think before we started recording, you were talking about the Psalm 23 and sort of the theme of why that might be here for fifth cup.
There's similarities between them, and there's also some differences between these two psalms. There's like a fundamental question here with the fifth cup and this brisa is, which is the ikar and which is the tafel? What's the main act and what's the supporting act here? We have the fifth cup itself, adding the physical fifth cup to the four cups. That's one thing, and then the other thing is the recitation. What we're saying. So, are we saying the recitation because we have a fifth cup, or do we want to say the recitation? And in order to say this recitation that the rabbis wanted to add, so we needed a place to put it, and everything was taken already with all the cups. Each cup was taken for Kiddush, for Haggadah, Birkat Hamazon, the Hallel Mitzri. Everything is taken, so we had to put in a fifth cup in order to say this. Those are the two ways that we could look at it. In my opinion, it's fundamentally the cup, because if it was fundamentally the text, look, there's two opinions already. Yeah. If they decide they want to put in a text, so decide which way is it going to be? Is it going to be this pure praise to Hashem, or is it going to be something of like the second one has Gam Kielech Begeit Salmavet Lo Irara. Even if I go into the valley of iniquity, of danger, of I will not fear. I will not fear evil. that you have this concept there, which is completely absent in the Hodu. Hodu is just nonstop praise and praise and thanks to God. So
Can,
yeah, but
something that
there
just
are those who explained the opposite, that they wanted to put in they wanted to add this text, and so they had to institute a fifth cup just to have a hook to hang the hat of the recitation on. That's the other approach.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about the actual content of these Psalms, I mean,
Yeah.
one line that immediately comes to mind in Psalm 23, because I'm thinking about drinking here, and this is the fifth cup, I'm not just, pulling in something, is Kosi Revaya, that there's this notion of the overflowing cup from that Psalm. So maybe at this point you're like, well, let's just keep the wine rolling. Like this is, we're having a great time. Like Kosi Revaya, my cup is overflowing. I'm having a really great time. I wonder if that's maybe, I'm not saying the only driver for the Yeshomrim here, this other position, but maybe it could be a factor in saying, look, this is about abundance here. Especially since we know, anyways, in that first Mishnah in the 10th chapter of Pesachim, that the 4 cup minimum is for the ani, right? That's being furnished these material aspects. Maybe this is saying this is explicitly above and beyond, and we want to acknowledge the Kosi Revaya aspect, that we are able to. We're not the ani now. This is to really get almost a more expansive experience out of this.
Yeah, well, you're getting what you're explaining now is getting it's very close to the Maharal of Prague's explanation in his Haggadah commentary, Gvurot Hashem. He explains he was a big proponent of the fifth cup, after possibly related to its complete deletion from the Shulchan Aruch. There's no mention of it at all. But the Maharal Prague came in, and he says that it relates to Parnassah and abundance, and that both of these, also the Hallel Hagadol, the Psalm 136, as Poteach et Yadecha. It has also like in Ashrei, it has this. It mentions the concept that Hashem provides sustenance to all. That's an approach.
Yeah, and who knows? I think those are incredibly fascinating things to look both for the Maharal of Prague and wildly fascinating. And for those who don't know, Dr. Jacobi has a Sfarim blog post that he published a half decade ago about really the move from the Torah to the Shulchan Aruch, how it's omitted, which is wildly fascinating, really interesting. Hopefully, a future episode. But Baruch Shikavanti about Maharal in Prague, about that aspect. With spring arriving, that means Passover is right around the corner. To help provide you insights and more into Jewish drinking at this time of year, where else to turn to than JewishDrinking.com? In addition to multiple episodes over the course of multiple years of episodes of the Jewish Drinking Show, there are also resources at JewishDrinking.com to provide insights, whether it's articles and more. Feel free to check out JewishDrinking.com/Passover to check out those resources. L'chaim. So if we're saying this is not being driven by the Psalms, but actually it's meant to be there, and perhaps as an expression of, and whether it's the Yeshomrim of maybe the sustenance, the abundance of sustenance, or maybe even the Rabbi Tarfon of I'll just call it the Hodu Ladanaki Kileom Chasto aspect of the giving praise to God aspect. Maybe this is, I mean, what's wild is we already did Hallel on the 4th cup. This is just like a continuing. It's kind of amusing.
From what you've explained already, really kind of those themes are kind of already present in the Haggadah. And my problem with these theories, or one of my problems with them, is it's like, are these concepts, were they so crucial to mention that the rabbis had to expand the Haggadah to include these chapters of Psalms, and add another cup just to mention these concepts, like these concepts of abundance? Or is it so important to include that in the Pesach Haggadah, to make such a drastic alteration to the Mishnah says 4 cups? It seems like it's not worth making such a drastic change to the system, to the order, to the Seder. just to add these. To me, it seems a bit far-fetched.
As a counterpoint to this,
Yeah.
is it really such a massive change? Because after all, this is maybe one psalm with one cup of wine. It's really, especially right after Hallel, the other Hallel, when it's a multiplicity of psalms, and that was already after Birkat Hamazon. This is literally one psalm, one cup, and it's tacked on at the end.
Yeah.
And also, it's really fascinating. What we don't know is this an option? Is this an obligation? That's what's unclear from really this whole Talmudic excerpt piece. Like we don't really have a sense.
I talk about this in the article.
Mhm.
So generally, when we have a bright or something like this, it's generally presenting a halakha. It's generally not presenting some
Mm.
optional activity.
Yeah.
And that's how the Balamor understood it.
Mm.
Balamor understood that this is an opinion which is arguing with the Mishnah and with all of the sages who say that there's four cups in the Yerushalmi and this, and it's arguing with them. And the halacha is decided against the Braita. We can throw it away. It's not applicable. It's a machloket, and it doesn't apply. There's another school of thought which you can find in I think in Gonim and in the Piyut that talk about in the Sforim blog. We also have Tuvelim, which is a theory that it's an optional cup. Like your obligation is to drink four. Yeah. But if you're going to drink another one, then you got to say these, you got to recite these, the Tehillim on it. That's, that's what you got to do. You don't have to. But if you are, then this is what you have to say. This is the way to do it. That's another interpretation there in the Rishonim. So yeah, it's not at all clear.
And by the way, that sets up a potential future episode on exploration of medieval normative rabbinic opinions about this. Yeah.
A lot of Rishonim accepted the fifth cup, the Rif, the Rambam, the Ritva. They all praise it, that it's a mitzvah ben a muvchar, or it's lechatchila. It's what you should do to have this fifth cup on the basis of this brisa that it's mentioned in the Gemara. They didn't want to set it up like the Balamor that's machloket, and they also didn't want to set it up that it's optional. So they said it's promoted above that it's ideal. It's what really should. And the fact that such great Rishonim held this opinion and clearly drank the fifth cup based on their psak. It's really amazing how it more or less disappeared.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to that.
It's like it came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere when you'd least expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shown. It burned out. And then it disappeared.
Yeah,
it's amazing. That's one of the things that got me into the fifth cup story. It just doesn't stop. It comes back and it goes away again, and it's amazing.
Hello, dear listeners. It's your host, Rabbi Drew. I wanted to break in right now and just say, hey. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate, or watching, however you're consuming this content. And I'm always open for new ideas, both for specifically the Jewish Drinking Show, whether it's topics, whether it's guests. I'm also looking for other resources that I can provide you with in the Jewish Drinking Project more broadly. Also, I'd really like to offer you the opportunity to sponsor this work. If you want to go to patreon.com/Jewish Drinking, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you have ideas for swag, also, please feel free to send them to me at drew@jewishdrinking.com. All right, thank you so much, L'chaim, and now back into the episode.
We got to understand in the Talmud, how did we get into this? We have demonology and this principle of zugot. It starts with zugot in the Talmud. We have this long digression, and then shortly after that long digression comes our Braita, the one that we decide with the fifth cup.
And I just want to insert here. Here for listeners. You can go check out. We have not one, but we have two separate episodes on this. We have episode 25 with Rabbi Ilana Suskin, and we have episode 99 with Professor Sarah Ronis. Both of them are talking about demons and the four cups of wine at the Seder. So happy listening. Right.
The launching point for the Talmud to get into the whole concept of zugot, which are pairs, which, if anything is done, if an activity is done in multiples of 2, even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, then for some reason it attracts demons called Mezikin. So this is the principle of Zugot. So we don't want to do things in multiples of 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this concept is introduced in the Talmud, and it's the only place you find a discussion of it anywhere in any literature at all. Jewish literature, non-Jewish literature. This is the only place you'll find it is in the Talmud Bavli, and a really long discussion about it. Really long. And so, yeah, as you mentioned, Sarah Ronis has her base, her doctorate, and other studies on this section. With all the comparison they've done with the magic of Babylonian and Persian culture, this concept of Zugot actually is not found anywhere. But so it's introduced to the Talmud through the 4 cups. The Talmud asks, how could there be 4 cups? It's an even number. It's a multiple of 2. It's going to attract demons. So how could it be? How could it be 4? So the Talmud has several explanations of why it would not be a problem. Either it's Leil Shimurim. This night we have this. There's a special protection provided by God, and so the demons are not going to attack. Another interpretation is that the cup of blessing after Birkat Hamazon does not attach to Zugot for bad things. It only counts for good things. And then another explanation attributed to Ravina, who was at the end of the Sof Horah, at the end of the Talmudic period. Ravina says that these cups they don't connect one to the other. Each one's its own man. It's not four. It's not four. It's not a group of 4. It's just 4 individuals. Each one's alone. Each one, and so there's no issue of Zugot. And then so while all these explanations lead into the discussion of Zugot and then a long discussion of demons, it's like the obvious reason why we would drink a 5th cup is right there. It's like hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
The thing. So the whole problem of the Gemara, how can we drink 4? Yeah, that the Gemara was so worried about, and it had to come up with 1, 2, 3 different answers, terutzim, to explain why we could do it. Neither one of which is entirely convincing or persuasive. If it was, we wouldn't need all the other ones, right? So that seems like a really great reason to add a 5th cup.
Yeah.
You add the 5th cup, now it's no longer an even number. Now the whole problem of the Talmud fades away.
I remember one of the first times I had a conversation with someone when they were interested in bringing me out, actually entirely based on this, the Jewish Drinking Show. They liked the content, they liked what they heard from me, and they wanted to bring me out. And during our conversation, they said, hey, we know you have a lot of really great content, but we saw somewhere that you do tastings also. I said, I do lead tastings and I do texts and tastings. So I realized I did not do a good enough job, certainly on the show and probably in general, and letting people know, in addition to actually sharing really wonderful content about drinking and Jewish wisdom, history, tradition, literature, and more. But I also do tastings, and even better, marrying the two together, doing texts and tastings. So if that's something that's of interest to your shul, organization, JCC, whatever it may be, feel free to get in contact with me at drew@jewishdrinking.com. So thank you for letting me break in and share that with you. And now back into the show.
This explanation that the 5th cup was added to ward off the demons from Zugot, it was first suggested in the 19th century by a Rabbi Isaac Ber Levinson, the Ribal. He was a famous maskil from Russia. And he was a frum Jew. There's no discussion at all about his personal observance, but he supported secular studies.
Mhm.
And he engaged in a lot of secular studies, and he supported secular studies in schools for children. And that's what made him that is what made him a maskil. That he was very rooted in Jewish studies and research, and also in secular studies, and that brought him into tension with the more traditional rabbis and Hasidic communities, especially. So that's the kind of maskil he was. But so there was a major problem over many centuries for Jews, which is blood libel.
Mhm.
That the non-Jews would believe that Jews were killing Christian boys and as a result they were killing Jews and oppressing Jews. This is a major problem. And so in order to address this problem, the very conservative Rabbinate and Levinson, they joined together, and Levinson published a book called Sefer Efes Damim, and it bears the approbations of leading rabbis. I believe the Khatam Sofer, if not the Khatam Sofer, leading rabbis attached to this. And so there's no poop about this book at all. It has nothing, even though it's written by a maskil, but it has the greatest haskamot.
Wow.
The book was translated into all English, French, to all kinds of languages in his lifetime. And in that book, he addresses questions that part of the blood libel. They turn to the Passover Seder. There you have all the drops of blood that you're dripping of wine, wine, and they say that's related to the blood. And we say shfoch that we say there at the time of the cup of Eliyahu, Moshe Eliyahu. So he had to address those. So what did he say about that? He said that Kos Shel Eliyahu is the fifth cup mentioned in the Talmud, in this brisa. That's the very same thing. And the rabbis had two different opinions. One is the opinion of the Mishnah, that there are 4 cups to drink. And the other one is the opinion of the Braita, which says that there's a 5th cup. And they couldn't decide. They couldn't make a clear decision one way or another. So they made a compromise. So the compromise is we're going to pour a 5th cup, but we're not going to drink it. We're not going to drink it, and we're going to leave it for Eliyahu. Now, why Eliyahu? Because Eliyahu we have Teku. Tavo Tishbi, who I don't remember exactly the Rosh Tevot of Teku, but Teku, that when Eliyahu will come, then he will decide. This is left for Eliyahu. There's several places where the Talmud states this explicitly, that where they have a machloket with no clear resolution. They say we'll wait for Eliyahu.
Is that what they say, or they just say Teku?
No, they say this.
Oh, they say that.
There are two different things. There's two different things. One is that they say this, especially Ad Sheyavo Eliyahu. This matter will be decided. I can't remember offhand which one, but it's several places in the Shas it's stated explicitly. Then Teku is just like where there is repeated many times in the Shas where we don't have a clear resolution. So one of the drashot of Teku is Tishbi, Yavo, I can't remember
and then solve it or whatever. Although that's a much later thing. That's not Talmud.
Yeah, that's later. But the concept that Eliyahu will resolve is mentioned in the Talmud. So I say that this is what the cup of Elijah is. They couldn't decide between 5 and 4, and the whole opinion of 5 was just a superstition based on zugot. That was all it was. There was nothing more. There was nothing more to it. It started with a superstition, and they couldn't decide if they're worried about the superstition or not. So they left it for Eliyahu. So we have the cup of Eliyahu. That's it. Has nothing to do with Christian blood or anything like that at all. That's Levinson's explanation of the cup of Eliyahu in Sefer Efes Damim.
Really quickly. So, but the Kos Shel Eliyahu, Elijah's cup, already predated Rabbi Levinson, right? It already existed. Okay.
Right.
He was just
that's
explaining.
why he has to address it. Okay. That's why he has to address it. Now, and by the way, since we mentioned it, the earliest sources for the cup of Kos Shel Eliyahu, which are something like 15th, 16th century.
Okay.
They don't mention the fifth cup or the Talmud at all, and apparently has nothing at all to do with it, historically speaking, based on the earliest sources. So Levin said like that. This was his apparently his brainchild, right then, for Sefer Efes Damim, and it was later attributed to the Gra, and many people are aware of this explanation. It's like, I call it the explanation for people in the know. It's attributed to the Gra. There's no basis for it being attributed to the Gra, and I have a whole article explaining how it got attributed to the Gra by another maskil, Zweifel, student of Levinson. But it's a beautiful theory.
Yeah. So Rabbi Levinson was coming to there's a whole separate question I have of how he was even aware of the fifth cup notion. But was he really the first
he was a Talmid Chacham.
Oh, okay.
He was definitely a Talmid Chacham, and he wrote a whole. There's an appendix in my article about Zugot of his. He wrote an essay about Zugot. He was trying to find. The thing is that the Zugot are not found anywhere else is so perplexing. It's so unusual and bewildering is that he goes trying to find it all over the place in all kinds of obscure, esoteric, historical sources in Greece and in Rome and in Babylon and he writes about all these possibilities of where it might be, but none of them are really convincing that that's actually Zugot.
Yeah, but he was Rabbi Levinson was the very first one to ever connect this notion of the fifth cup being there because of really trying to wiggle out of the demon Zugot piece of it.
Well, he's the first person on paper that we have
to articulate that.
Now, there's also a source that kind of attributes similar ideas to Ephraim Zalman Margolius, Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margolius. And it's possible that Levinson, he had a connection with Levinson. It's possible that Levinson learned it from him, but it's not put down on paper until quite a bit later in the Haggadah Shel Pesach, written by a grandson of his. So it's a bit speculative. Eliezer Burdette's a big expert on Ephraim Zalman Margolius. It's a possibility that it came through there somehow. But Levinson is the first one that's on paper by a long shot.
Hey there, I wanted to break in yet again. Although I asked for support in financial ways because it does cost some money to make the hosting happen and other aspects of Jewish drinking happen. So your financial support is definitely appreciated. And don't forget, you can go to jewishdrinking.com/donate. But also, another way of supporting the show and everything that Jewish Drinking does is also to tell your friends, tell your neighbors. If you like this content, if you like this show, maybe people you know also like it. So feel free to let them know, hey, I have this interesting episode I heard, or a few episodes, or whatever it is, or even a few clips. Feel free to share with your friends. All right, thank you so much. Now back into the show.
For listener or anybody who, when I said earlier on the episode, you can go check me at home. Anybody who looks up Sachim 118a at any printed edition of the Talmud, they're not going to find that language.
Right. If you're learning Daf Yomi with Rashi and that, you're never going to come across it.
Right.
You're never going to come across the fourth cup of the fifth cup because there's an alternative girsah of the Brisa which says on the fourth cup. Now, on the fourth cup, you say Hallel HaMitzri and you add Hallel HaGadol. And so everything is going on the fourth cup.
Yeah. Most, if not all, of the manuscript witnesses have Hamishi, have fifth, right?
Yes, except for Rashi. Yeah, Rashi favors that girsa, and it's found I think in one Ashkenazi manuscript, and all the other ones have the fifth cup. Kasher already noted this, that like the manuscript evidence and all the Rishonim, Rambam and Ritva and all this, that they're going with the fifth cup text variant, that's the main one.
Yeah. But it's
The
Rashi's school that didn't make it.
Maharal Prague already noted it. Already noted that's this. But then Kasher went and looked at a lot more sources, and then David Henschke looked at even more, a lot. And Henschke believes that it was a scribal error that led to this the omission of the fifth cup. It just got skipped over.
So more accidentally done rather than purpose. Like, because Rashi, Tosfos, they're very clear. They're like, this Ravi should be the way. It's got to be fourth.
They're favoring that. They're favoring that girsa. So there's two questions. The first question is, where did that girsa come from? And the second one would be, why does Rashi favor that girsa? Rashi seems to be aware that there's another one.
Yeah.
He says that this is the main one. So there could be any number of reasons for that. I'll throw one at you.
Sure.
The Talmud, when it talks about zugot, it states explicitly that b'marava in Eretz Yisrael, they were not choshesh for zugot. They were not concerned with zugot. Yeah. It's only in Babylon that they're concerned with zugot. So here, this brisa cites Rabbi Tarfon. Rabbi Tarfon is an Eretz Yisrael Tana. So what's going on? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And if a Tana already held this opinion, it was 5 cups. Then why does the Gemara get so upset about the 4 cups and try to explain all the 4 cups? It could just say that there's an opinion with 5 cups at the beginning of that sugya. It's really perplexing, So in a sense, putting it all in the 4th cup, it smooths out a lot of problems. A lot of problems there. So that could be why Rashi favors it. Now, part of Rashi favoring it it's part of the reason why it got in. It got into the Haggadah. Every Haggadah you're going to go purchase now has the Halal Hagadol at the end because of Rabbi Tarfon in this brisa. And we could argue. Well, it's Maharal and Kasher. They believed that the 5th cup was the original Girsah. They got in with the 5th cup. But we accepted it on the 4th cup without a 5th cup, based on that Girsah of Rashi, where you're not going to find the 5th cup at all.
And I think that beautifully sets up a future episode to talk about the medieval Rishonim and ultimately getting the Shulchan Aruch. All right. Well, this was fantastic, Dr. Jacobi. And before we go, is there anything that you would like to promote?
What I have to promote is Bar-Ilan University and the Department of Jewish Art at Bar-Ilan University. If anyone is interested in attending, we have online classes. You can register even from outside of Israel and fulfill a lot of requirements online now. And we have many English language courses also. And if anyone is interested, please feel free to get in touch.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much. And l'chaim.
Sure. L'chaim tovim l'shalom.
Amen.